Hello everyone, my name is Mariam Mokhtar. Do you know any Malay leader who has put his nation first? I don't. As far as I know, they only care about the 4 R's: race, religion, royalty, and rasuah. They ignore the only R that matters, the most important R, which is rakyat. Do you agree? The difference between an oyster and a moderate Malay is that it is easier to prise open an oyster than to open the Malay mind. If you converse with some Malays, be prepared to spend hours going around in circles. But try not to blame him, because he is the product of 50 years of brainwashing, the Bureau Tata Negara, and also our education system. Most of the time, your questions will be met with blank stares. Summon your inner reserves when he replies with, "They will not approve," or "they will say." When you remind him that you are asking him and not the invisible them or they, he just keeps quiet. Last year, I met someone whom I would term a moderate Malay, and we chatted about the Sheraton move. And this is how the conversation progressed, when he urged me to give the then backdoor Prime Minister Mahiaddin a chance. I responded with, "But he stole our votes from GE14. Neither you nor I voted for him. So why let him get away with it?" And after a long silence, he said, "Let Mahiaddin prove himself." As my friend dismissed the trip-ups by key ministers in Mahiaddin's cabinet, from the health minister's remedy for coronavirus, which is to drink warm water, to the environment minister who wants to initiate an investigation of our sewage system to halt the spread of the coronavirus, I asked, "Will you accept a non-Malay Prime Minister?" And he responded with, "They will not approve." So I said, "Who are they? I'm asking you, not they, not them. Who are they?" More silence. I reminded him of our previous corrupt Malay leaders and said, "The nation comes first. A clean, principled, and capable non-Malay who speaks fluent Malay, who is an upright Malaysian, has every right to be Prime Minister." There was silence. So I asked, "What are your fears?" And he said, "We don't want to end up like the Palestinians. Malays will have nowhere to go. This is our land. That is why this country is called Malaysia." And when I mentioned our apartheid policies, he went quiet and said, "The Chinese already control the economy, so the Malays should be allowed to control politics." But I said, "Wouldn't you want the Malays to do better economically? The new economic policy, the NEP, has done nothing to uplift the Malays. Don't you want improvements and a change for the better?" And he said, "Blame the British for divide and rule." He forgot that the nation was united until UMNO Baru used the 3 R's to seal their grip on power. So I said, "Let's deal with the current situation and heal the nation." There was silence. So I repeated, "Why not give a competent, principled, non-Malay the chance to lead Malaysia?" And he said, "There are none." So I said, "A few non-Malays in the previous Harapan cabinet have proven themselves." He mentioned one familiar household name, but omitted the other non-Malays who had performed exceptionally well. Unsurprisingly, no female made his shortlist. Then he stipulated that a non-Malay PM had to guarantee to the rakyat that they would not become corrupt. So I asked him if he had made similar demands of Malay prime ministers, such as the convicted criminal Najib Abdul Razak or Mahiaddin. And after 4 hours of talking, he finally admitted, "I don't want a non-Malay PM." Many Malaysians think that the problems of racism, ketuanan Melayu, and religious extremism stem from the rural Malays, whom they consider uneducated and ignorant. But let me tell you this, the rural Malays are not the problem. The biggest threat is posed by the urban Malays. They fear the loss of their unearned privileges, from contracts to housing allocations and to scholarships. Many people will think that the Malay to whom I spoke is from a kampong. He's not. He's Western educated, he's middle class, and he lives in Kuala Lumpur. He's not a conservative Malay or a conservative Muslim. He's a run-of-the-mill, moderate Malay. And yes, our conversation was in English. He strongly supports Pakatan Harapan and he rejects UMNO Baru. Definitely pass. He does not wear religion on his sleeve, but like most Malays, he is a practicing Muslim and like many Malays, has a patriarchal streak within him. My opinions, though they are not scientifically proven, are based on my observations. At the time of Merdeka, 70% of Malays lived in the rural areas, but with migration to the cities and modernization and looking for jobs, only 30% of the Malay population remains in the kampong. Today, the Malays who demand Sharia law and who want Malay women to take a backseat role are not the rural folk. The villagers, the people in the kampongs, they're too busy trying to survive. They're trying to put food on the table and a roof over their heads. They have no time to deliberate the finer points of governance, rule of law, or human rights. They have no access to the internet, or very little access to the internet, whereas the urban Malays do. But the websites they visit are questionable. Contrary to popular belief, the Malays who demand a more Islamic society in a multicultural Malaysia are the ones who are comfortable in Western attire, who converse in English, who are Western educated, who are well-travelled, professional and articulate. The Malays have been conditioned since childhood through a mixture of family upbringing, agama classes, peer pressure, Friday sermons, extra agama classes in the mosque and various community groups to believe that they cannot criticize their own brethren. And instead, they believe imported figures like Dr. Zakir Naik, who speaks in English and tells them that a corrupt Muslim leader is preferable to an honest non-Muslim. If we are not to repeat the mistakes of the past 64 years, Harapan politicians need to change the narrative and work harder to convince the Malays that their and their families' well-being is not at the mercy of a non-Malay Prime Minister. If my car breaks down, I must first pinpoint the problem before repairing it. It does not matter if I have a locally made Proton or an important model. The same with Malaysia. Before the nation can overcome its many issues, the moderate Malays must acknowledge that they do have a problem. We have to help unmask the moderate Malay mind and urge him to put Malaysia first. Thank you for listening. Speak to you soon. If you like my videos, please press like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please also visit my Patreon channel if you wish to sponsor me. Thank you.